Welcome back. We discussed this recently, but in light of market activity, I thought it might be helpful to take a look at our Bitcoin S&P 500 correlation again. And what the premise is that we look at the price action, the 30-day percent of change of Bitcoin compared to the 30-day percent change for the S&P 500. Now, typically we'd expect a risk on, risk off approach would work with both, meaning when the stock market goes up, we tend to see Bitcoin go up, and when one goes down, we would expect the other to go down. Now, this obviously excludes if there's a crypto-specific event, such as an exchange going out of business, or maybe some positive news as well. Typically, though, we would expect the two markets more or less to move in the same direction, and when they do not move in the same direction, there's where we see opportunity. So, taking a look at the blue line represents Bitcoin. The black histogram bars represent the Bitcoin S&P 500 Index. Now, the way we read this is as follows. When Bitcoin is unusually stronger than the S&P 500, again, the 30-day percentage change, we see this black histogram bar start to go up. So we see, for example, early 2021, Bitcoin was very, very strong, at least compared to the S&P 500, and that's when we see these histogram bars really pop up. And we hit a level of around 78%. Conversely, July of 2021, we saw Bitcoin really go to the downside a lot more than the S&P 500 did during the same period of time, and that's when we saw a very oversold condition. More recently, we saw the Bitcoin S&P 500 hit a level, the divergence level of about positive 25. Now, what do all these numbers mean? Well, this is what the data actually suggests. When we see, and the blue lines represent the S&P 500, the red histogram bars represent Bitcoin. Now, when we tend to see a divergence of, let's say, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, even 40%, meaning that Bitcoin is outperforming the S&P 500 by those numbers, by a factor of anywhere from 15 to 25, 30, 40%, we tend to see a continuation. And what this tells us, what the red histogram bars tells us, is that's how much we can expect Bitcoin to perform moving forward in the next 20 trading days. Meaning that if we see Bitcoin really starts to move above the S&P 500 at these levels, 15, 20, 30%, then we typically, at least this is what the data suggests, Bitcoin has a very good chance to continue and to continue to be strong. And traders looking for a breakout in a trend following type of situation would look for Bitcoin to start to outperform the S&P 500 by those factors, 15, 20, 30%, because the data suggests we can continue. Now, take a look historically how this works. This is the second quarter of 2021. The white histogram bars represent the Bitcoin S&P 500 divergence. And what we see here is that Bitcoin was really going down a lot. And that's what the white histogram bars show us, is that Bitcoin is underperforming the S&P 500, and that eventually led to a really big sell-off in Bitcoin hitting lows around 20,000. The signal we received was earlier on in the May 2nd, 3rd, 4th week of May, before Bitcoin really cratered in the beginning of June. Going to the fourth quarter of 2021, we see here early on, October of 2021, the black histogram bars represent the Bitcoin S&P 500 divergence, and we see that Bitcoin really rocketed to the upside as we see the divergence levels crossed above 20, 25, 30%. We still had more room to go. You see, again, the signal that we see Bitcoin begins to really outperform the S&P 500 is when we cross above that 15, 20% level. At that point, Bitcoin was only around 55,000, but it continued up to 65,000. So there was still very much a signal there. Now, fast forward to present day, where are we? The yellow line represents Bitcoin, and I wanted to talk about this because just the other day we saw Bitcoin hits 24,000, I think almost 24,500. So I thought to myself, well, does this mean that Bitcoin's really breaking out? Maybe not so much. because we see over the past couple days, actually February 15th, we see the divergence level hit 11%. Not really a big deal. Again, we want to see crossovers of 15, 20, 25%. Again, take a look at the data here, and it shows us that we can expect Bitcoin to really start to perform, to fire on all cylinders and to really start to move higher when the divergence exceeds 12, 15, 20%. We're not really there. Right now, we see the divergence levels. Well, yesterday it was at 11%, and now we see a decline to around 9%, which means that Bitcoin is strong and the S&P 500 more or less is also strong. Bitcoin's a little bit stronger, but it's not really showing us a true breakout. If, however, we see, and we'll continue to revisit these charts quite often, if we start to see Bitcoin really rocket to the upside, and you don't even need these charts. If you just look at the daily action and you see Bitcoin hit levels of 25,000, 26,000, and at the same period of time, the S&P 500 really isn't moving, or maybe it's even going down a little, that might be a signal that Bitcoin's really starting to break out. But if we see both markets go up, it doesn't mean they can't continue to go up. But if our goal is to look for a Bitcoin breakout, we want to see it pull away from the S&P 500. We want to see really big updates in Bitcoin when the S&P 500 is not acting in kind. But we're going to continue to watch these charts very closely, and we'll be sure to update you with any developments along the way. We hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you back soon.